Welcome everyone to Zoom into Books this afternoon. Today we have children's book author Liliane Fortna with guest interviewer Burke Allen from Allen Media Strategies. Burke, take it away.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our Big Time Talker podcast brought to you by our friends at speakermatch.com as we do a special Zoom into Books simulcast with our friends at Headline Books. And we're talking Christmas today with award-winning Christmas book author of The Four Santas. It's Liliane Fortna. And, as we all sort of run around like crazy this time of year, the holidays are in full swing. And this year, for 2024, it came really fast. Thanksgiving was late. Christmas will be here before you know it. How do you get it all done in time? For that matter, how does Santa get it all done in time? And that's what Liliane wrote about. It's a new, unique idea on Santa Claus. And Liliane calls it a magical Christmas story. It's about time, toys, togetherness, and our favorite Christmas elf, Liliane Fortna, joins us from Charlottesville, Virginia. Hey, congratulations on the new book and all those awards.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you. Yes, it's fantastic. I'm thrilled. I did not expect that,
As well, you should be. And by the way, I've got a copy of the book right here, and the illustrations are just amazing. They're in this sort of classic, traditional style of the way I remember illustrations from when I was a kid. So I have to ask you, when you go to select an illustrator for a book, did you have a vision in your mind of what you wanted this to look like, or how did that process happen?
Yes, I really had an idea. I was going to illustrate myself, but my program gave up. I had it for 20 years and it was absorbed by Corel. So I said, I don't have the time to learn a new one. And fortunately, via BiblioKid, I was offered to collaborate with a fantastic artist named Marison. And so what I did, I had prepared a lot of graphics that I was going to use.
Right.
And I sent that to her with the description, at least half a page for each character, because I'm going to use them again. So they have to be consistent. So the way I wanted them to look, etc. And I wanted also to infuse a lot of love, togetherness, that it's visible through the illustrations. And she's remarkable. She did all that. And I'm very, very pleased with her work. It's beautiful. It's
And
time.
she's in Serbia, right? So you've never actually met in person. It's all been done
No,
online?
never. It's via the internet. Now we're in contact via social media, but I never was in contact with her. I just sent all the details I needed, all the pictures, some of the paintings I done via the publisher who relayed it to her. And it was fantastic. I barely had to say, oh, this should be barely. So it was just fantastic. Yeah, she did a fantastic job.
Liliane Fortna is our guest today. The book we're talking about, The Four Santas, is available at foursantasbook.com, foursantasbook.com. And, the premise of the book, I think, is really unique. You've got a mom and a grandma who take the little boy into the Christmas village to meet Santa. And he's all excited. He meets Santa. He crawls up on the lap. He whispers in Santa's ear what he wants this year. But then he notices something different. And you take the story from there.
Well, notice that the Santa didn't have the same eye color as the year before. The voice as well was different. And he was just wondering, is this real? And the whole day he was very perturbed by what he had discovered. He didn't dare to talk about it because he was not sure, but then he was perturbed. So that evening, his mother said, "What's wrong, darling?" And he started to say, "I don't believe in Santa anymore." Fortunately, Grandma was visiting and she heard it. And she said, "Oh, you don't know the story of the Four Santas?" "No." "Let me tell you the story." And then she starts. And the way, what I want is Santa is not alone. He's asking for help. He has family members. So all that is in, and I want that to be a reflection of what maybe we should do. Ask for help. Don't hesitate to enroll family members, friends, etc., to help us to fight the stress of this season. It's very joyful, but there is so much that sometimes it's difficult. So by asking others, and in that case, his brothers, that it's fantastic, and the success was there. It was a great Christmas night.
What a fantastic idea to bring not only some cool lessons for kids, but just this great concept of it's for Santas. It's, Claus and his brothers, and they divide it up north, south, east, and west. They change it up each year and they figure out where they're going to go, and that's how they get it done. They all do their own individual things. You got the one guy that does the baking, you got the guy that does the making of the toys, you got the organizer. So it's great lessons. And I love that you sort of adopt this for Santa's mindset in dividing up all the holiday stuff we have to do. You say that if you divide it like the four Santas into gifts, gatherings, gratitude, and giving back, that you can streamline it and get through the season without a lot of stress, right?
Exactly, yes. And I wrote a blog about that, actually an article as well, because it's important. We are approaching this season with a lot of joy, but at the same time, oh my God. and it's great to know, well, let's get organized beforehand. Let's enroll family members and friends and do fun stuff. Why not baking with friends? Invite friends. We're going to do all our Christmas bakings together, etc. Right. You learn from others, etc. So instead of being alone in your corner, lamenting on this season, it's good to enroll others.
Oh, it's easy. And it's so easy to get, overwhelmed this time of the year. It's like, I got to do the shopping and I got to get the lights up and the tree's got to be right. And I got to go to the church service and the kids' Christmas pageant. And pretty soon, this joyful season that's supposed to bring peace is blown completely out of the water.
Yes, it's a very exhausting month for some. But if you get organized beforehand, you plan ahead of time, then everything is much lighter. And again, enrolling your friends and family, and it's a way to get to know each other better too, sometimes because we're so busy throughout the year. But if we do things together, go to the Christmas market together and share a fun meal together at that time, something festive. And I think it's so important to do that.
And divide and conquer like the Four Santas do. By the way, it's foursantasbook.com for this multi-award-winning children's book by Liliane Fortna. I also love this idea that you have of setting a joy budget instead of a time budget for Christmas. So I guess, in other words, instead of being so scheduled, doing all the things, you build in some time to do things that will bring you joy.
Yes, and that's important because then you give. There are people who feel very lonely out there, and maybe it's good to involve them and say, hey, why don't we do that together? Or why don't you come over and we can discuss about this, or whatever, whatever we can do together and not let somebody left alone. That's very important. I had a lot of problems in my life when I was growing up, and I know how painful it is to feel lonely during that period and no celebration, nothing, when everybody else is doing that. So it's good to involve neighbors, friends you don't always see very often, but they're lonely. It's very important at this time to think that way. Just open up.
So because I know you're in Charlottesville, Virginia. That is not a Charlottesville, Virginia accent. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your childhood. And you mentioned it in the prologue to the book that you did have a pretty tough early childhood, but that's what led you to writing The Four Santas, this great Christmas village you've created. So I don't want to dredge up bad memories, but I think that your story and your lesson could help someone who's listening or watching us today do the podcast. So tell us about your childhood and how you sort of overcame that.
Well, it's like anything else. When you have a situation that is difficult, painful, we have to go through the grieving, we have to go through the painful time, but not forever. It's important to take it as a stepping stone so you can do better. For me, in this case, Christmas was horrible, so I would hide. Basically, I would hide during the season as an adult, and I would just surface on the 31st just to party with friends and go and have a blast. But otherwise, it was a very painful time. And then my son was born. I said, wait a minute, you have to change your ways. It's not right. You have to, to raise him with a lot of joy and fun and, you know, all these things, warmth, all these things that you have, especially around Christmas. So the first year I bought just a few animals, beautiful little animals that I put with some greenery around on a tray. He was 7 months old. So that was the very beginning of what is now a 14 feet by 8 by 4 plus an extension with over 30 animations that I create within that display. And all the characters are hand-painted, beautiful collections, and I create stories. So this book actually is the first story of the display. And it came to me because one time I had several children, 8 or 10 in front of me with their parents at the back. I did not know anyone. I think they came from a church. And I was telling stories, and a little boy came to me, why four Santas? I was, whoops, I was taken aback because I did not have a story at that time. It's a beautiful collection. They are 4 doing different things. I put them together in their workshop, and I didn't think any further at that time. And I said, oh, children, you don't know the story of the 4 Santas?
Oh, man. And then you're on the spot. You got to figure it out.
No. And I was, oh dear, come on. And I looked in the display and I saw a globe, earth globe that I placed on one of the shelves. I said, children, how many corners in the world? Somebody said 4. And I said, there you go. Do you think one Santa would be enough for the entire world? No. So I started the whole story. And at the end, I said that this is why you might not see the same Santa every year. And some of the parents on the background like that. And I knew it was a good story. So that was, my God, at least 30 years ago when I created it, just on the spot. And throughout the years, because I built this diorama every year, then I had the opportunity to refine it and find little things. So yeah, so now it's the first book, and I'm very pleased with it. The next one is going to be a lot of fun.
Excellent. And that
with
book, by the way,
dancing and singing and all kinds of things, but it's also with the Santas.
For Santa's Book, forsantasbook.com is where you can find it. Also, of course, available at Amazon and bookstores everywhere. You did a big book signing there in Charlottesville at the Barnes and Noble. And we talked a little bit about this Winter Wonderland Village. I mean, this thing, I can't overstate. I've seen video of it. It's been covered on television. People come from everywhere to see it. It's a massive Christmas village. And how long does it take you to put that thing together every year?
1 month.
A month.
A month. A month. I had many hours a day because everything is very refined. And then I tell little stories. And then the electricity has to work too, because I have to plug things, make sure they work, the angle, etc. It has to be seen from so many different angles. So it takes a long time. But this year I'm going to create modules, which means you won't really see the difference. But for me, instead of creating everything from scratch every year, I'll have boxes that are decorated, I can put in place and build all around. But it's a labor of love, really, and that's how it started.
Well, there you go. So if you're feeling overwhelmed about Christmas, remember Liliane Fortna spends a month putting a Christmas village together, and she wrote an award-winning Christmas book. Now, her tips, again, the 4 Santas mindset for the holidays: divide and conquer your holiday task into 4 categories: gifts, gatherings, gratitude, and giving back. Then you can streamline your priorities that way. I don't want to gloss over this because I think there's somebody out there that may be listening that could really use this lesson. You grew up where?
I grew up in France. I was born in Vietnam. My father was French, blonde with blue eyes, and my mother was Chinese Vietnamese.
But you
Um,
were not raised by your mom and dad. You were sent away and you spent part of
when I
your
was
childhood in
15
that.
months old, yes, when I was 15 months old, because I was born in 49, so in 1950, Mao Zedong took over. And because it's North Vietnam, many people were scared, and there was a lot of unrest at that time. So my parents thought it was better for me to be in France with my grandmother, my dad's mother.
But that was not what one might think of as a kindly, warm, grandmotherly relationship.
No, from the very beginning, she didn't like me at all. So I was not allowed to play with other children, speak with other children, except in school. Um, I did not have any toys, but I had nature. I had the sea on one side. I would just go down the steps of the rock on which the house was built, and I was on the beach. And then at the back was the woods. And I would spend a lot of time right there, just talking to the elements, playing with animals who came to visit me from the neighborhood, dogs and even cats sometimes.
Well,
So
Christmas
I did
must
not
have been
feel
very
really
difficult
alone in the
in the
sense that when you can't compare yourself with others, you just take it as is. It's later on when you see the difference that it's painful. But as a child, well, I would talk to trees, I would talk to the wind, I would see the clouds, and they would talk to me. I mean, anything was alive. And that's why I'm writing stories now where I will put this type of things in it.
wintertime and Christmas time, though, must have been extraordinarily difficult. You weren't with your parents. Grandmother was not warm. So, um, how old were you when you said you finally came out of this when your son was born? So you were how old then?
30 something. So it
Wow.
took me a long time, yeah. Because during my childhood, I was with my grandmother, and it was very challenging. But during my teenagehood, I was in boarding school, and oftentimes I had to stay behind, even during the Christmas vacation. Nobody would come and get me. So, you know, you just do what you have to do. And as an adult, Christmas was always a season where I would just hide because I did not have any good memories. It was always painful. But then my son was born, and now my
Everything
revenge
changed.
is to see the pleasure when I have the people walk here and they love it. And so it's my pleasure because Christmas is not only receiving. Receiving is fun, but giving is even more so, because when you give and you see the person get so much out of it, this is something that goes straight to your heart. And that's something very important to remember.
And that's a big piece of this book, The Four Santas. You make a point of saying it's not about Santa bringing big gifts. You say he brings small gifts to children, but the real gift isn't the toy. It isn't the thing. It's the feeling.
And that's why in the book you will see the graphics, which I asked Marisa to do. I wanted already to have a very wonderful relationship between the mother and and the grandmother. So the mother in law and the daughter-in-law. So I wanted that. So you can see throughout the picture they're holding arms when they walk in the street. One hand is on the shoulder. Little things like that. And then the Santas as well. There are pictures where they are actually in contact. They hold each other. You can see the closeness, because that's the spirit of Christmas. That's what the most important. That's giving the best of yourself.
Here's
And
a
that's
great picture of the Four Santas here.
they're funny,
Christmas
yes.
night. They've had a big night, a big day, and now they're relaxing by the fire. I love that. So, one other tip that you made a point of sharing with us in terms of getting through the busyness of the holiday season. I love this. Make tradition a team effort. So, what you're saying there is if you have traditions in your family, whether it's, I guess, baking or decorating or shopping, get everybody involved. It could be your family. I guess that could be your friends, or your friends that become family, but divide and conquer those tasks.
Mhm. Yeah, it's important because everybody wants to feel needed in some ways and feel some warmth. And some people don't have that.
Right.
So it's good. There was one year before the pandemic, and I stopped during the pandemic. I invited groups of people who live in old folks' homes. So they would come 6 by 6 with their nurse and the driver. And then I would tell stories. And afterwards, I would say, and now your turn. It's silent for a while. And then suddenly, everybody wanted to go. But some of the stories I heard were very touching. And that's another book I'd like to maybe write about, of the memories of the, of the past. Because one that comes to mind, a lady said, well, we didn't have much money, but I would go in my dad's drawer to get the longer socks. And I would put it by the fireplace, hoping it would be filled. Well, I only got maybe a handful of nuts, but there was a lot of love in the house. And that went straight to my heart when she said that. See, and others were talking that way. They didn't have much money. One orange was a big deal at the time. I'm talking about, when in the 40s or so. So anyway, yeah, I think it's very important to involve others and to give. And that way you receive, you give, but automatically you receive. Like when I see the joy of these people leaving after they saw my display, like one group of elderly people, they came, they were silent, walking in. They left, they sat in the bus, they started singing Christmas songs. They were laughing and smiling, waving at me. And I was, oh my God, I almost cried. I said, this is my revenge. I didn't have any, but now, I can give joy to people. No.
There you go. Well, so let me ask you that. And we're talking with Liliane Fortna. Go to forsantasbook.com and you'll be able to pick this up for your kids, your grandkids. It's a wonderful, totally different take on Santa. And there's the For Santa Christmas decorations, tree ornaments. If someone is listening or watching right now and they have a tough time at the holidays, maybe they've lost someone, and Christmas can be a very melancholy time. Maybe they had a difficult childhood like you did, where Christmas was very solitary. What one piece of advice would you give them to turn that mindset to move in the right direction, because you were able to accomplish that?
Well, first of all, is not isolate yourself, because that's the worst. It will magnify all the negative or the painful feelings that you have. So it's very important to reach out if you can, or join a group, or go someplace where you might meet other people. I remember one time, one year, there was a woman I knew, her dad, she lost her mom in May of that year. So her dad was very, not well. And it was 15th of December was his birthday. So I said, why don't you bring him here? And so, he doesn't want to go. I said, and he's German. And speaking of Germans, I said, well, I will receive him and I will have some German things. So he came, and in my display, because the display was recreated all around the world. So I always bought items wherever I was. So I have quite a few German items right there, which he recognized. And right away that brought the little child out of him. And from a man who did not want to speak at first, he started talking. And it was wonderful. And she said, she took him back home, and the ride was about an hour. She said he did not stop talking during the whole ride. And of course, I had a cake. Oh, I didn't know it was his birthday. Oh, I just had a cake, and to even without a candle, but I didn't know it was his birthday. But anyway, he came to celebrate his 90th birthday here. And this is so wonderful to be able to give. It's very little for me to give, but at the same time, it's enormous for some people.
Well, sure. And you make a great point there, to remember our seniors during the holiday season. Christmas certainly is about kids, but seniors matter as well. And so if you got seniors in your world, or maybe there's an assisted living or retirement facility close to you, stop by and visit with them. All right, I'm going to give you those tips one more time because I think they're fantastic. Liliane Fortna, who wrote The Four Santas, has the Four Santas mindset to help you get through everything you need to do for Christmas. She says, divide the holiday task into 4 categories. They are gifts, gatherings, gratitude, and giving back. And if you focus on all 3, you streamline your priorities, you ensure the season will be joyful and intentional. Great advice. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much.
And hey, before you jump, you're winning a bunch of awards for this book. They keep coming. Mom's Choice Awards, a Golden Wizard Award. I just want to say congratulations. That must make you feel great.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's wonderful. I did not expect it to go that far. I just wanted to write the story because people ask me to write the stories I tell. And I said, okay, I started with that one and it was, oh, good. But then now, indeed, as you were pointing out, I can use a story to talk about the darkness that come up over us, during the Christmas season, and how we can offset that by doing like the Santas.
With that lovely French accent, you've got to do the audiobook for the Four Santas. You have to be the voice of the Four Santas book. You got to do it.
Oh, thank you.
There she is, Liliane Fortna, the multi-award-winning author of this, my favorite kids' Christmas book of the season. It's called The Four Santas, a magical Christmas story of time, toys, and togetherness. How does Santa get it done? Well, maybe it's Santa and his 3 brothers that get it all done. Liliane Fortna, thank you for being here. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. You too, Burke.
Thank you to our friends from Headline Books for letting us jump into Zoom into books and make it part of our Big Time Talker podcast, brought to you by
Thank you so much, Becky.
Thanks, everybody, for being here. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Now go out and make it a great day. Bye, everybody.